Hello, my name is Lewis Jackson, and I make crypto incredibly easy to understand. And I use foundational human nature level ideas to make sense of all the crypto stuff because it can be quite confusing, and especially when you're a beginner in crypto. The whole world of YouTube is like this massive content library, and it's so difficult to determine what is good information or not. And one thing that we hear a lot, and I've obviously experienced this as someone with somewhat of an audience in crypto, and that is that nobody should be blindly following crypto influencers. It's a bad thing to do. And I'm actually here from a foundational human nature level to say that actually blindly following crypto influencers isn't actually a bad idea. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's actually a positive thing to do, especially as a beginner. And so I'm going to demonstrate that today. So, the first thing to really understand here is the idea of states. So, in life, we have lots of different states that we flow between. It's actually very natural for us to flow between states. And so, these states might be, for example, cold into hot, and alternatively hot into cold. Like we flow between these states. You can also have states that are more permanent, like a teenager into an adult. um that's another state shift. And so you can probably think of a load of examples here. You can shift from quiet to loud, right? You can shift from bored to busy. These shifts align with us naturally because it's just human nature to shift and transition. Additionally, I thought it was really interesting that if you actually look at the cells in a human body, the cells in a human body rejuvenate, completely change. They mutate to the degree where they are completely a new cell or a new thing every 5 years, which actually means your physical body shifts state as a physical being. Like the skin that I have today, the nails I have today, the hair I have today, that every single cell in my body will be replaced over a period of 5 years. So in 5 years' time, I naturally, biologically, will be a completely different person. And to me, that is extremely motivating because it means, you know, if my whole body can change within 5 years, I can definitely change the way my brain works. I can definitely change my financial state. And 5 years is a sufficient biological time to be able to shift the state of who you are. And so the way I kind of view all of this is that we have two states. We have state one and we have state two. Now, state one is your current self. This is you now. State two is your desired self. So this is who you want to become. And this is all going to make sense with why you should listen to crypto influencers blindly. Okay, so we've got state one and state two. Do you believe, based on the fundamental principles, that you can actually transition from state one to state two, who you are now, into your desired self? The answer is yes, because we can transition between states very, very easily. Now, the reason that people don't get to their desired self is because their desired self is not clearly defined, right? And so in our case, we've got our current state, that is everything that we are right now. Let's say your portfolio is $50,000. Your crypto portfolio is $50,000 right now. And everything you are and everything you have done in your life has led you to a point where $50,000 is your portfolio value. Okay, so it's just a state of being as a result of all of the habits and things that you do in your life that has resulted in this you. But it doesn't have to remain you. You can change your state. Obviously, you can change your state, and you can become your desired state, your desired self. And so, your desired self might be someone who makes 200K a year, or let's say 222K. I don't know why I wrote twos, but your desired self could be this person. And as long as you've accurately and in a detailed manner, defined who your desired state is and what they are, the things they like, the things they do on a day-to-day basis, the actual budget of their everyday life, the clearer that you can make your desired state, the more efficient the path is to get to it. And I'm going to explain that in a different way here. So remember what I've said, please. I'm going to rub all of this out. Let's get all of this out the way, because I think it's going to be extra clear this time. And I'll obviously make my point that following crypto influencers isn't actually a bad idea. So I want you to imagine a circle. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Let's see if there's another way to do this. Let's actually try and get a circle. Okay. All right, so we've got a circle now. Okay, so you got your circle. Now, you lay right in the middle here. This is you. Your desired self, I'm going to just put as DS. That's your desired self. That's who you want to become, is right here. Now, clearly, we could just draw a straight line from here to your desired self. And that would be the most optimal journey there. Your awareness of your desired self is, in fact, the reason why it's so easy. Because now you go, okay, well, actually, to get there, I only need to do a series of like 6 different steps. And if I achieve those steps in order, I will just get to my desired state, because your desired state is a person who does these things. Do you understand? So there is an efficient way of doing things. And this way is a clearly defined path, because you have a clearly defined destination and you clearly understand who you are. These are all things that I go into massive, incredible depth in my program on. I'd love to, I feel like morally obligated to tell people about the program, because it's just like, it's life changing. It's not just crypto changing. And so this isn't how things usually go, right? You understand, if you want a 6-pack, you've just got to do crunches or ab workouts. If you do that every day for a year, you're going to have a 6-pack. We all actually understand it. It's like intuitive. We intuitively understand what we have to do. In crypto, it's kind of a little bit tough, because we have so many different people telling us what we should and shouldn't do. But let me tell you why this actually following crypto influencers blindly, and I say blindly, like not lightly, I'm not throwing that out there, blindly, might actually be a good idea. And so I need to draw a line across the middle. Imagine that went straight through where you are. Within here, you have a series of degrees. So this would be 0 degrees. This would be minus 180. This would be 90. And this would be 90. Maybe we put minus 90, plus 90, minus 180. And then this one can be plus 180. So if we visualize this as a compass, and we imagine your desired state is here, the opposite of your desired state is here. So this might be, let's say your desired state is to have $1 million. Minus 180 would be minus $1 million. Okay? So if you want to become minus $1 million, that's who you want to become, you have to do everything in your power to do the opposite of what it takes to get $1 million. And so your directionally accurate path to minus $1 million can be equally defined. Like, we know exactly how to get there. Let's say you gamble, spend as much money as you can, get into incredible amounts of debt, buy a really bad house and it crumbles down and you're in the hole, or whatever it is. There are things you can do to get to minus $1 million. And just in the same breath, there are the exact same things you can do on the opposite side to get to $1 million. But life isn't that easy, right? It's not, as we don't end up taking the ultimate straight route, mostly because we don't define who we want to become enough. But that's a conversation for the course, not for here. What life typically looks like is like this. Like, we might start off in this direction. We might have a period of time where we head right towards our goal, and then we tail off and we go in a directionally inaccurate place. And then what we end up is in a position here, which isn't your desired state. It's also not where you were before, which would be on this line. It's somewhere in between. It's kind of like you've made progress, but you haven't reached your destination. And you've made progress from this point, but you've also, there's a separation between your desired self and where you've ended up. And so this might be, if your target is $1 million, this might be $100,000, right? You might have 100K here. So it's a direction, you haven't taken the directionally efficient path to get there, but you've ended up in a better place. And so I want to use that. And equally, it can happen to the downside, right? You might not end up with minus $1 million, but you can do some things that are directionally inaccurate that take you to, minus 100,000, just as we did here. And so this is really a principle I'm trying to throw in here because it makes all the sense in the world. And when I hear about people also talking about, like we have Molly Elmore, for example, who talks about vibrations. And so the directionally accurate thing that I'm talking about here can equally be put into vibrations. So when I talk about vibrations, what I mean is there are things that bring you to a higher vibrational level. Let's say, for example, fear. Fear is a low vibrational energy. And if you're like thrown off now, me talking about energy, don't worry, it does make sense. So if you're living constantly in fear, you're never going to end up in a place that is higher. You're never going to alter yourself into a higher level. But if you live in the perspective of, like, let's say thankfulness or gratitude or excitement, you probably end up in a higher level on this chart. That's more aligned to being a vibrationally accurate thing to feel in your head. So this is all like positivity and hard work. This is all negativity and laziness, right? So we know at a fundamental level, regardless of the terminology you use, there are things you can do that progress you closer to your desired state. And what I'm saying is, listening to crypto influencers blindly as a complete beginner, remember your current state as a complete beginner is, I don't know what's going on. It is a directionally accurate activity, not a directionally inaccurate activity, to listen to crypto influencers. Listening to crypto influencers, if you find the right one, oh my goodness, if you find the right one, it is like starting that path directly towards your desired self. But at the very least, even a terrible crypto influencer has probably got some experience that they can share with you that you don't have. And so it is a directionally accurate activity, even if it is putting you in that direction. It's advancing you past where you are currently. And so I think if you're a complete beginner, the last thing you want to do is take a directionally inaccurate move, which would be in these directions, right? Away from your desired self. Now, here's where it gets really tricky, because let's do this. This is you. And this is you in crypto. Let's put that plus 180 back. This is you in crypto. If you don't have a desired self and it's not defined, how on earth will you know if you're taking a directionally accurate or inaccurate decision? This is the importance of having an actual goal, right? Because, okay, now we've got a goal and we've got a dollar value associated with that goal. Let's say we've got like a worldview of the person who is this person, this desired self. Let's say how they view religion or how they view exercise, right? All of these things provide a clearer view of the desired self. And as you get that clearer view, the more details you can put in that desired self, all of a sudden, this line starts to appear. Now, all of a sudden, you know what is directionally accurate and inaccurate. Like, for example, if you know that your desired self goes to the gym 3 times a week, you know that going to the gym 0 times a week is a directionally inaccurate activity. If you know that your desired self wants $1 million, you know that activities that are going to get you in debt or activities that aren't conducive to making money are going to take you away from your goal. And as long as you know where your goal isn't, you know the path to get to where it is. This is why having a goal and a clearly defined desired self state is the most important thing, because now you can tell actually where is up and where is down, what is directionally accurate, what is a vibrationally positive thing to do. And so this is why, as beginners in crypto, blindly following an influencer can give you just enough clarity on where the directionally accurate move is to get you started. And the most important part of all of this is getting started. And I'll explain that right now, actually. Why not? Let's get rid of all of this. Takes a little while. Sorry, no edits on this video, so you bear with me. So on Earth, there are different. I actually made the chart here for. I actually made this. So let me actually zoom out here. I made this for my program. There's a lot of these diagrams for my program here. Here it is. Just got to figure out my controls. Oh God. Okay, this is actually directly from the program. So you're not going to understand what Taudi is, but you'll have to take the program for that. So basically, having that initial, that the start be in the right direction, and whether that's from a crypto influencer or not, blindly following or not, you have to understand one thing. The hardest part of all of crypto is the beginning. And I liken that to an airplane or a spaceship even, and the atmosphere of the Earth. The lower you are in the Earth's atmosphere, the thicker, the more viscous the air is. So we have denser air at the bottom. And the higher you go, the less force is required to travel a lot further because the air is thinner. And so as you go up, the air gets thinner and thinner and thinner, making it easier and easier to move and actually reach your destination with less energy. And so the beginning of all of this, and these labels might not make sense because you haven't taken the course, but the understanding, the clarity of at least the direction you need to go to get to your desired state is the hardest part. And that's why you should focus more on those early phases. And it will get easier as time goes on, because as time goes on, you get closer and closer to your destination. And it's actually a lot harder to veer off. And I'm going to have to explain that as well. So let's find where I explain that here. So in the program, I actually talk about this quite a bit. As you can see, I've got lots of different diagrams for this. And so here's that compass that I drew earlier, and all of the different outcomes that you can take. This isn't completely accurate with what I said about the opposites thing, but it's going to make my point here. So you are in the middle. If you take a 70% angle, like you're not going directly to who you want to be, but you take a 70-degree kind of veer off right at the beginning, like you take a really bad angle, that could put you in a place where you're in a completely different location than where you want to be, right? And that's because of that directionally inaccurate move at the beginning. Now, if you start well and you're going directly towards who you want to be, but at the end you veer off and you do stuff that's not conducive to the direct, efficient path to who you want to be, you'll still end up in a place that is decent. Right? It's just the way the angles work in linear fashion. So the early stages, imagine each one of these is like an atmospheric band, right? We're in the at sea level, and then this is in orbit, for example. It really, really helps to have a really good foundational start in your journey, because if you start in the wrong direction at this point, it's going to be really hard to get yourself back to where you want to be. So I think I've made that point. I think I've exhausted that point, but there's lots of these diagrams that I've made specifically for this program. I've loved it, to be honest. Okay. So with that said, in fact, I've lost where I am. Let me just get back there. These are my notes here to make sure I don't veer off. Okay. Just going to hide them behind there. So I guess the big question now is, what can we actually do to, once we've progressed from blindly following an influencer, what can we do to, not follow them anymore? Because there's this weird thing about following someone to the degree to where you do everything that they do and you view things exactly how they do. And there's really a point where you have to make a divergence from who they are as people, and that will make complete sense in a second as I explain it. So I want to talk about an influencer like this. That's an influencer, and that's you. They have become who they've become as a result of their own lives. So, for example, this influencer had a military dad. And so he lived in the military family. They're very organized, and his dad's mentality, who comes from a long line of other military people, right? So his dad was in military. So you come from a long line of military thinking. And so this influencer, who's not in the military, has absorbed a lot of what his heritage has kind of put into his genetics. It's called epigenetics, where genes and traits and responses to things carry through the genes, actually. And so, even like, for example, if military granddad had PTSD really bad from World War II, there will be responses in the influencer's genetics that are basically because of that PTSD. It's actually crazy. So acknowledging that this influencer acts specifically in accordance to how his genes have been made up, which are not your genes, by the way. And let alone that it's not just about dad. It's about all their experiences at work. Let's say work, relationships, experiences, travel. Like, all of the things that this person has experienced has shaped the way that they view crypto. And these are all very different to you. You have a whole separate set of experiences and relationships and travel experiences. So it is unreasonable to continue to think exactly like the influencer. You have to diverge at some point. So you can have enough to get you directionally accurate, but you have to diverge from that at some point. And so when I look at divergence, I really think about it like Chinese Whisper. Have you ever played that? So you get a friend to say something, like, let's say this person whispers something into another person's ear, and while it might be the exact same message that this person has heard, when they go to speak it into someone else's ear, at some point the message gets misconstrued and the words change. And then as you go down multiple progressions of this, you get to person like 10. This person is saying something completely different. So this person said, let's say this person said, hello, doggy. I don't know why I chose that, but hello would have been too easy. Hello, doggy. This person might at the end get like yellow foggy. And so they're now talking about something that's completely different. And I think that's how we interpret other people's experiences. So when people say stuff, influencers say stuff, it's actually it's more of a reflection of who they are and who they have become, rather than the information that they're giving. Now, a lot of it you'll be able to work through, and it'll be very beneficial for you in the crypto space, because you'll hear some things that just come from experience. It's not and it's not experience that's like irrelevant, like their dad or something. It's stuff that they've researched over time, and therefore it's relevant to you. And so I very much view influencers like that. So how can I so basically there's let's talk about it like a funnel. So you've got what the influencer has said. Um, so this is something they say on a YouTube video. That filters through this funnel, and it filters through a lot of different funnels because maybe there's specific words that they use that lean themselves towards the way that they've been brought up that maybe don't resonate with you in the same way. So, if I say like cut grass, it might not have the same impact to you as um, like freshly cut lawn. I've used different words; they mean the same thing, um, but they resonate with you in different ways based on your experience. So as the information comes through, that might not have been the best example. As the information comes through, what ends up the output can be very different. You can actually be completely misunderstanding what the influencer is saying. Because it's gone through these multiple filters of their own experience. It's just maybe not resonating with you. And so there's two skills that we really need to have. One, I can't spell. One is critical thinking. We need to at all times be questioning, asking why. There's actually a whole module based on the question of why in the program. It's such an important question to ask. But if we're thinking critically, we are avoiding getting into echo chambers. And I'm aware this is going to be a long video, but who cares? When you're in echo chambers, you can only really think about what other people think about, and you can't critically think for yourself. I think if you actually have critical thinking, you can remove a lot of the noise that you hear, enabling you to actually take the core foundational thing that the influencer is talking about, which is actually number 2. And you can actually start making decisions yourself. So you take that foundational understanding. So let's illustrate that. You got the foundational in understanding. That's foundational. And then with critical thinking, rather than following this weird path of what the crypto influencer is saying ongoing based on their experiences of life and, as I mentioned earlier, relationships, everything, you actually now start to build your own direction. And just as that circle with the directionally accurate or inaccurate things, the influencer might get you started in this direction, but it's up to you to develop that path to continue going. You could quite easily go off here and take what they're saying the wrong way and end up in a completely different direction. And I think this is the basis for where people say following influencers is a bad idea, because you follow without thinking. Like the blindly following element in this area is very important because it gets you to a place where you're actually directionally accurate. But if you continue to blindly follow and follow their own thought processes and become the person that they are, you're not going to end up at your desired self. You're going to end up at the influencer's self. And that's really weird. Like, you don't want to be that person because they're only that person because of all their own experiences. So why would you desire to be someone that you're not? It doesn't make any sense. So you need to build upon the foundations that you've been set and actually chart the path towards your desired self. Right? And so really, if you can have the ability to think critically about what influencers are saying. So for example, you might get a lot of influencers talk about XRP. I talk about XRP. It's my biggest holding and remains so. I love XRP. It solves massive problems. But you have to almost look at XRP and then critically think, am I listening to influencers, continue listening to influencers and adopting all of their mentality? Or do I just understand the foundation of what they're saying? And what I mean by that is XRP, for example, solves the world of payments. It makes payments very quick and easy. And it's ultimately, I think, going to be the currency, perhaps invisibly to the world, that the whole world's money moves on, right? That's a belief of mine. That is a foundational understanding. Like I foundationally understand that XRP solves a massive problem. And as a result, could be an interesting opportunity for me to invest, right? And it has become that, for me anyway, personally. But that's a foundational understanding. And so if I'm listening to influencers day in and day out, I start to think every little nuance of what they say is the truth. That's called an echo chamber, where every piece of information corroborates the idea that the whole is pushing, right? So if it's, for example, that XRP, the cryptocurrency, is gonna be backed by gold, for example, well, that's a whole other conversation. But it's like a niche conversation within the world of XRP. And I just believe that, then it might lead me down a directionally inaccurate path. So I need to basically remove the echo, remove the noise. If I can remove all of that noise, I can start thinking of myself and refer back to the foundations. XRP solves a massive problem. Loads of banks are adopting it. It was targeted by the SEC. Like it's a real. There's a lot of attention on it. Perhaps that's all I need to know at a foundational level, and let me build up my own understanding of XRP myself. At that point, you cut the ties with the influencer in terms of like hanging on every word they say, and then move on and start learning more for yourself, understanding that you've got this foundational knowledge of the problem that's being solved and the cryptocurrency that has come from thinking critically. So the big way to combat the negative sides of listening to influencers is to think critically. So I hope that this video, even though it's been over half an hour, all of you that are here have what it takes, I believe, to get to your desired state. Everyone who's left at this point, it's a bit brutally honest, doesn't have what it takes to get to their desired self. They are, in fact, on this scale, at best, moving sideways. I do think understanding the foundational principles of what I'm sharing in these videos, it's undeniable that it is a directionally accurate move. And so I can only get you this far in these videos, right? Because I'm just giving you that foundational direction so you can understand these things from a core level. But to get to the rest of the, to get to your desired self at the end, you've got to become a different person. You need to actually chart the path to get there, which means you have to be extra specific about who that person is and actually who you are. Because if you can know who you are, you know where you are in this circle. If you can know who you want to be, you know which direction to go and how to get there the quickest way. And so this portion is my YouTube videos, and basically this portion is the program, the BlockFlow program. Now, I will say that I opened up the BlockFlow program for discovery calls. These are sales calls, basically, because it's not a free program. And every spot in my calendar filled up for 2 weeks. So I know this is something that people want. I know this will be a best in class, like it'd be the best program in the world for crypto. It's undeniable. And if you thought this was in depth, this is a 33-minute video. Some of the videos in there are going to be over 3 hours of just complete foundational understanding, so that when you leave that program, you're a different person. And so the calendar booked out, the calendar for all these calls booked out. So when you go to the link in the description, you might not find a time. There might not be a time at all this month. So there will be a link underneath where you can book the call. There'll be a link on the page that says sign up for the waitlist. The waitlist really is when a spot becomes available. Everyone on the waitlist gets an email to say there's a spot available for you to book if you want it. It's a free discovery call, but it is a sales call. But you'll see on the landing page when you click the link below everything about that. But what I meant by if you're down here at minute 35, 34, you are the type of person that would actually truly benefit from the program, because you've got what it takes to put in the hard work. You're able to think critically. You're able to put in the work yourself. You're not completely reliant on what influencers say. And you're the right person for the program. And you're the right person for the program because the program's been made for people like you. And because I've made it for you, the likelihood of your success is considerably higher, which is better for me and better for you. I can show that it works, and you can actually do something that works. And so, anyway, I think I've rambled on a bit too long here. Thank you for watching. That's it. That's why you should blindly follow what crypto influencers say.